What was your favorite tag team to work with, if you have one?
Favorite tag team to work with? Probably Arn and Tully, or the Rock and Roll Express. I mean,
Man, everybody says Rock and Roll Express.
they're just so easy to work with. And they sell everything. And
Any thoughts on the fact that they just never die? They're still out there. They're still out there kicking ass. I think the Briscoe brothers are ready to brawl with them in Ring of Honor. What's going on? They are unbelievable. Does that blow your mind? That they're still so incredibly relevant? They're finding ways.
yeah, Ricky Moore,
Amazing.
something.
Amazing.
Who never sold for you?
Oh,
And you're a big dude, right? So at some point, don't you get pissed off if someone doesn't sell for you?
I mean, they got to expect something coming back.
I don't think I ever had any of those kind of matches.
I would hope
where
not.
Somebody no-sold me.
Okay.
You know, 'cause I pretty much got along with everybody as far as in the ring and everything.
Was working with the Iron Sheik hard? Was he high half the time when he was in the ring with you? Yeah, you're like, shit, Mike, you take this one. I'm going to sit on the outside of the ropes.
Barry the Windam. Oh, my God.
He would always find a room or a hallway in one of the buildings off by himself and go do Hindu squats.
Hindu
Smoke
squats.
dope,
That's,
drink
that-
beer.
yeah.
while doing Hindu spots. That's pretty good.
And then he'd go to the ring with me and Rotundo, and he was so funny.
Oh,
He loved us, so he just.
this is strange, though. I'm getting the sense you still felt safe in the ring with him. Sheik's just high and blitzed, and he was doing his squats in the back. It's all good. You can dump me on my head.
Well,
I trust you.
He bickered so much with Nikolai back and forth.
Oh, really?
Oh my
Really?
gosh.
So you
Me and Rotunda would stand back and just look at him.
just laugh the whole time. That's hilarious.
We have to look for this on the network. We have to look for
Oh,
this.
yeah.
There's little sides.
There was a spot that we did almost every night, and it was where Nikolai hooked my arms behind my back on the ropes, and Sheik would go and hit the opposite rope and come and hit me with a knee. Well, Nicky grabbed me, but when the Sheik was coming, he threw me away, and Sheik went over the top and he clipped the top rope. This is in Hershey, Pennsylvania. He clipped the top rope on his ankle and did like a 3 somersault and landed flat on his back.
Ooh.
And me and Rotundo and let's see, I'm trying to think who all else was there. I think that Captain Lou was there because he was all over it. I mean, he was like, "Did you fucking see that?"
Barry, could we get you tighter to the mic? I just want to get you a little tighter. There you go.
To the Arn Andersons, to Mike, myself, all the fans, you really have a very, very impeccable reputation and are really loved and remembered as one of the greatest, clearly top 10 to many, many folks. What do you attribute that to, that you've been so fondly remembered? Was it just doing the right thing over the course of your career? Or, how does that make you feel knowing just how respected Barry Windam really is?
Well, just in the ring, I guess one of the main things that sticks out in my mind that Eddie Graham said to me, he said, you have to work a shoot. Like you have to go into a match like it's a real fight, and then you work a real fight. And I took that and I applied it, and I just thought, and then I thought about selling and all that, and it just, and I had really good teachers down there in Florida too. They had so many guys come through there, Morocco, LeDuc, the Ortons. I mean, all those guys. I worked with every one of them. I worked, 30 minutes and 45 minutes. We went Broadway with all of them. Dusty was doing that for me just so I could learn. And I just think that's it, just the stuff in the ring.
I'm assuming you learned from your father also, right? And both of you huge guys, what real wrestlers are. But your father had the mic skills of a very boisterous guy, but you took it a different route. You took it more like a quiet, soft-spoken guy. How come you took that approach, or that was natural to you?
I think that just goes back, to learning from Eddie and Dusty. Just try to be natural. And, there are times you got to show your emotion, too. You got to use your face, your body, your hands, everything. And those are just things, that I just took in. And it was, I guess what I did is I always tried to, at the end of the day, I would always think back about what I learned that day, whether it was about the business or life, before I went to sleep. And it's just, You know, it's just one of those things you just add it up and add it up. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if other people do that. I don't know. It's just the way I did things.
Were you able to, were you ever offered a gimmick that could have derailed your image? Like, you really never were given anything goofy, if you understand what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
You managed to somehow keep that Barry Windam, the wrestler, intact all those years. Were you ever offered something where you were like, I'm not doing that. That's dumb.
Well, I mean, you know, working for Vince in WWE, he wanted, you know, something else. And,
Okay.
and I fought him tooth and nail. You know, I was wearing all the camo stuff, but I was wearing my boots underneath it, you know, or I had my hair blonde, or, you know, just always. And, you know, I think that's why Vince didn't really go with me, because I was always just kind of defiant.
Okay.
But I was still there and did my job. But,
do you remember any, I'm sorry to press, but I am curious. Do you remember any particular one with Vince where he was like, okay, wear this? Was there any particular one?
Well, I would probably think the Stalker, right?
yeah, that was a stalker.
That was a
Okay,
stalker.
okay.
And I don't know, maybe Pritchard, that was his idea. I don't know, but anyway, I felt it was kind of a rib,
Right.
and you know, just maybe a little payback for, you know, for leaving before. But
Oh, so you think that's payback when
Interesting.
Why did you leave when you guys were so hot, you and Mike? What made you leave the WWE?
well, I mean, you know, we had been in Florida before that, and we were home every night, and then we're there, and you know, it was 3 months on the road, never home. You know,
Yeah.
96 days, I think, was what we went, 92 or 96, without going home. We might have had a day off on the road, but there was no way to get home. And we were in Baltimore, and Rotunda just flipped out and lost it. We were all down in the red light district, and all the guys were there, and they had their Lincolns, and they ended up playing Ram cars with Lincolns. And I guess Rotunda had rented the car. Anyway, he jumped out of the car and left me there with the car. I went back to the hotel. He was gone.
Just left.
He had flown home that night. He just flipped out.
Just had enough.
So I went to Boston the next night and worked with SD Jones, and Chief J Strongbow was there, and they called Vince, had Vince on the phone. I said, no, I'm going home. Mike's home. And I didn't talk to him again after that. And it just, you know, I just think it kind of hung with him, which it would have too, you know, if it was been me. But he just ran guys ragged there. And drugs were rampant, and it was
Not for you.
It was a great time, but it was a bad time too.
Right.
I gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I mean, you guys were crazy over back then. It was like, forget about it. I thought you could have, both of you guys could have went on. I mean, he clearly went on as the IRS gimmick for quite a while, but you know, you clearly
if we'd have
could
stuck it out, we'd have been included. But
I mean, what was
And the more I think about this, I'm going to continue to rail on about this. Not only could you possibly be in the Hall of Fame one day for IRS, you could be in the Hall of Fame for your time with Barry. You could be in your Hall of Fame also for your time with Money Inc. So that's 3 different complaints I'm going to be filing, Vince. Just look out for the envelope with the pyramid in the corner from the Pharaoh.
that'll go right to the trash.
Oh, you know it well. Vince will be like, it's him again. But thoughts on those days with you and Barry? Because that team was flipping amazing. What are your memories of those days with Barry?
If I could just add in one thing before you answer that.
Yeah.
Real American was your theme song.
Oh, my God.
Until they stole it and gave it to Hogan. So
Right.
you getting
Thanks
money
a
from
lot,
that
Terry.
too?
well, that's
sorry.
because we left.
That Hogan, man. Unbelievable. Always
What
taking
you going to
people.
do, brother? Oh, my God.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Those days with Barry was fast paced, brother.
Yeah.
Just whoa.
Yeah.
We were on the move, you know, and we had a lot of fun. Dusty put Barry and I together in Florida when
Dusty.
I first went down there after I was in the NWA in the Carolinas. Dusty called Crockett's and said, I need a young baby face to go down there. So I moved down to Florida. A week later, they teamed me and Barry up, and it just clicked, you know. And we were
Right away.
We were both young and partying and out all night,
Oh,
and you know, just
Were you guys like rock stars back then? I mean, look
I
at Barry, for God's sake.
to be honest with you, I can remember getting out of the car and we were in bum, you know what, Pennsylvania, up on some mountain,
I've been there.
and people just went, "Oh my God!"
Converged.
And it's crazy because the TV was so strong. It was like on ABC or NBC, CBS. Everybody got it.
Yeah.
So when you got out of the car, I mean, just people, it was freaky.
The girls
It really
screaming like
was.
the Beatles.
Yeah, it was
I
crazy.
believe
it
it.
really was. And
I
Barry,
believe it.
yeah, girls loved Barry.
Ah,
you know?
So
can imagine.
we didn't have a lot of like Florida from up here, right? So because you know the way TV worked, so we used to read in PWI. So when you formed that team with Barry, it was hot, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
When you guys decided to leave, was Dusty pissed off? Because you guys getting really hot at that point, and then you got brought right into New
Yeah,
York.
but what happened was we all left Florida and moved to the Carolinas. Now, we didn't make any money, and we were making no money. So we get a call because Barry's dad had an affiliation with George Scott through Carolina. George Scott was the booker in WWF starting, but this is like 84, 85. So we get a call and said, they want you to come up there. I mean, we literally went from making $250 a week, $500 a week, to $5,000 a week.
Hello.
And this is like.
So when you called your wife and said, I'm burnt
Well,
out
I
after
wasn't
you.
married
Oh,
yet.
okay. I was going to
I
say.
met Barry's sister, Stephanie, came to visit Barry in Florida. She was just started working as a flight attendant for Delta, and she was living in Dallas. She never went back. 6 months later, we were married, which will be 36 years in October.
Yeah, speaking of that, congratulations, by
Thank
the way.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that? Like, how did Barry feel, or how did Blackjack Mulligan feel about?
Well, Barry was happy. His sister was marrying his best friend.
Okay. That's cool.
Blackjack, I called him up and said, "Hey, I want to take your daughter out." Well, I called him so he couldn't punch me.
Yeah, that's a good
I
idea.
think that's pretty smart.
Yeah,
Long
with it.
distance at first.
Yeah,
That's
but
smart.
he appreciated that I didn't try to sneak around and
Right.
do it behind his back.
Cool.
So, and then when I called to tell him, I said, she called and said, "Daddy, we're getting married." And he goes, "Put Mike on the phone."
Oh boy.
And he goes, "Are you sure?"
That's funny.
Okay.
He goes, "You better put a payphone in." So,
That's awesome.
the rest is history.
Yeah. It sounds like a